everybody and welcome to my channel. My name's Shadowcat, so if anyone would like the video and comment, feel free to do so. And maybe while you're at it, feel free to subscribe too. Now on to the subject of the video, Stan Lee. I had done a project a while back on this humble man with a great influence by the name of Stan Lee. Keep in mind that I'm translating the text I had made, so sometimes the dialogue might appear strange or incomprehensible. But let's continue. In order to understand the man that created Marvel, we should take a look at his life. Stanley Martin Lieber is his real name, by the way, was a screenwriter and editor of comics. He created the famous company that is Marvel. The 20th of December 1922 marks the beginning of Stanley Martin Lieber's life. He was born in New York from Jewish immigrant parents, Jack and Celia Lieber, who come from Romania. He has a little brother named Larry Lee, who later becomes the writer for his brother's journals in 1953. They have 9 years difference. Stan Lee had also married Joanne Bucock Lee in 1947 and were married until her untimely death in 2017. They had 2 daughters, whom Jan Lee died 3 days after her birth. JC, which is Joanne Celia Lee, was born in 1950 and became an actress. Once he graduated from his high school, DeWitt Clinton High School, he immediately became the assistant editor of Timely Comics. In 1942, he was promoted to the post of editor. During the 1940s and to 50s, there was a lawsuit against Timely Comics, named Atlas at the time. With the creation of the Fantastic Four in 1961, Atlas, now named Marvel, gained some recognition. After the creation of the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man and the X-Men were created respectively in 1962 and 1963. It's in 1972 that Stan Lee became the general director. In 1999, since Stan has only a post as emirate president, he created Stan Lee Media, but in 2001, because of lawsuits, Stan Lee Media bankrupt. In 2004, POW Entertainment is created, and in 2009, Disney bought Marvel, and this event marks the start of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Before talking about the MCU, we should take a look at the comics first. First, the Marvel Company had survived a lot of big struggles and important events, such as the numerous lawsuits, name changes, and so on. We can say that they really earned their spot in the world. In order to talk about the comics, I'll tell you about some big shots in the company, more like the comics world. Personally, I'm a huge Marvel fanatic, and my favorite team is the X-Men. They're a band of superhumans, their scientific name is Homo superior, and they're defined by their X gene. This gene gives them powers that are either good, like Kitty Pryde's, or bad, like Bufu's. Because the powers could be a horrific physical change that will give a monstrous appearance, like beak, to the mutant. The main goal of the X-Men is the acceptance and cohabitation between the Homo superiors and the Homo sapiens. Throughout their countless adventures, the mutants are victims of violence, discrimination, rejection, and much more. The X-Men, or the mutants in general, are a metaphor of the civil rights movement for the African American. According to the site Little Africa, and I quote, "The fear of the mutants echo those of the wasp from the southern states, fearing to be supplanted by the African Americans. The mutants, discriminated against and chased like the blacks were under the Jim Crow laws, sway between 2 philosophies." In my opinion, the site Little Africa explained perfectly the state of the mutants. It talked about 2 representations, meaning that of Charles Xavier, like Martin Luther King, a pacifist. These 2 are very similar due to both of them having a dream, the dream of cohabitation between the 2 groups in conflict. The other representation is that of Magneto, alter ego of Malcolm X, so more warlike and violent in their actions. Stan Lee's creations often reflect real-life situations, such as the LGBT, so that these creations become the most humane possible, like the characters become more humane, with qualities and defects and oftentimes really bad and marking personal problems, such as money problems. Since you're talking about the civil rights movement, Black Panther was created in order to give a positive image to young black kids. Some say that the Black Panther was inspired by a political party with the same name, a party in which it claims the extreme left and advocates civil rights for all through the use of violence. While this theory may be plausible, others say that Stan didn't even know the existence of this group, but was instead inspired by a battleship of the American Army during the Second World War with the same name as well. T'Challa is the king of Wakanda, a highly advanced country technologically, socially, and economically. T'Challa is very skilled and endowed with a grand variety of technological weapons made by himself or his sister. Captain America was created to show the strength of America in order to reassure the American population during the Second World War. The comics were used as propaganda in the 1930s. In the Marvel Universe, I think that the most popular characters and teams would be those that appear in the media, like in the movies, cartoons, and television series, like the Avengers, for example, the Avengers, the X-Men, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Finally, we will now talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU for short. It all started in 2008 with the first Iron Man film. The MCU now accommodates 20 or so films, not counting the Fantastic Four or the X-Men because, as you all know, they were made by 21st Century Fox. But now that Disney bought Fox, so who's to say how many new X-Men or Fantastic Four films are going to be incorporated into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Also, the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man films don't count either because it was produced by Sony. But the most recent films starring Tom Holland are considered MCU because Sony and Marvel made a fusion deal, allowing the collaboration between the two companies and the sharing of the character. Now that we got that out of the way, everyone knows that the MCU is divided in phases. Phase 1 includes Iron Man 1 and 2, the Hulk, which is better not to be mentioned amongst comic and movie nerds, and Thor, Captain America, and the first Avengers movie. Phase 2 includes the following films: Iron Man 3, Thor 2, Captain America 2, The Guardians of the Galaxy, The Avengers 2, Ant-Man, and Ant-Man and the Wasp, according to some sites. Phase 3 consists of Captain America 3, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man Homecoming, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, and Infinity War. This year, Phase 4 started with Spider-Man Far From Home and Avengers Endgame, of course. By the way, just a friendly reminder, whenever you're watching a Marvel movie, always, I repeat, always stay until the after credits. Stay to the very, very end. That's where all the juiciness is at. Either. A big running gag in pop culture is the numerous cameos of Stan Lee. It has become a custom thing where moviegoers can have a laugh and amusement. Sometimes Stan Lee would do cameos in non-Marvel movies such as Teen Titans Go, the movie, and that's hilarious. In conclusion, Stanley Martin Lieber is an exceptional man who transformed entirely young lives at the core, and for many people. Throughout this presentation, we have visited his extraordinary life, his fantastic creations, and the cinematic universe he left behind, the 12th of November 2018, at the age of 95. And with that, we may conclude. He will never be forgotten. Excelsior!